Thank you for coming to Starbright Storytime. This is Book Overview 35. This is going to cover, honestly, a couple weeks. It's been a while since I have consistently put out books day by day and done a week by week review. So this is a little bit of catch up, and it looks like I will probably continue like this for another month. And then school will start, and I will try again to do a book a day. In the meantime, this is the book overview for week 35. The first book on the list I've given away. It was called The Gas We Pass, The Story of Farts by Shinta Cho. And this was a book that sort of took a more scientific view on gas in our bodies and what causes gas. It was a fun book nonetheless, and a cute storybook about farts, if you will. It's a natural phenomenon, and kids are curious about why these things occur. So the first book was The Gas We Pass, The Story of Farts by Shinta Cho. The next book on the list was The Grouchy Ladybug by Carle. And this was a book about a ladybug who was angry and selfish and wanted all the aphids on the leaf to herself. And she had an attitude, and she challenged another ladybug for all of the aphids and decided that ladybug was not big enough to fight. And she went on trying to pick fights with all different kinds of animals she encountered, when at the end of the day, she never had anything to eat. She was just hangry. And finally she came back to the leaf with the other ladybug and the aphids, and the friendly ladybug offered to share the aphids that were left. I've also given this book away. This was The Grouchy Ladybug by Carle. That was the second book in this group for the Overview 35. Now, next on the list is The Sandcastle Contest. This is a book by Robert Munsch, and it is illustrated by Martchenko. It has very fun illustrations, and it's a good book for summertime. The Sandcastle Contest. This little boy, Matthew, goes on vacation to an area where there's a beach and builds this insane sandcastle. It looks like a house, and everything inside of it, the TV, the table, the food, the refrigerator, everything is made out of sand. And the judges for the sandcastle contest don't really believe that the house isn't real. In the end, he wins the contest, and he makes a new friend, and he makes himself a sand dog. And his parents allow him to take his sand dog on further vacations with them. This was The Sandcastle Contest by Robert Munsch, illustrated by Martchenko. The next book on the list is Lottie's New Beach Towel by Petra. This is a story of a chicken who receives a beach towel as a gift, and it sort of saves the day. She has her trip to the beach. It keeps her from burning her feet on the sand. When she goes out with her friend Herbie in the boat, they are able to use it as a sail when his boat fails. And additionally, there is a wedding happening at another beach, and the bride loses her veil. And Lottie offers the bride her beach towel to use as a veil. Then she gets invited to the party with Herbie. So she's very thankful for the beach towel she received as a gift. And at the end of the book, she writes her aunt a letter thanking Aunt Maddie for the beach towel gift. That's a nice book for summertime. Lottie's New Beach Towel by Petra Mathers. Next on the list of books is How to Catch a Mermaid. This book is by Adam Wallace and Andy Elkerton, and it is a story of a few children at the beach who decide they want to catch a mermaid. They try to entice her with jewels and treasure chests, but she's very sneaky. Eventually, among all the contraptions that the children come up with to entrap or ensnare the mermaid, they themselves become circled by sharks. They get into a little bit of trouble, and the mermaid comes to save the day. So they sort of make a friend with the mermaid, but she doesn't stick around for long. But they appreciate her nonetheless. This is a story about being resourceful and coming up with new ideas. How to Catch a Mermaid by Adam Wallace and Andy Elkerton. Next on the list is Shark Detective by Jessica Olian. This is a fun story about a shark who watches detective programs and decides to give it a shot himself. He finds a poster for a missing kitty cat and he decides he's going to help. But it's really difficult when you're a shark because everyone is afraid of you. In the end, he finds the kitty, and the kitty's missing a toy. And the shark helps the kitty track down the toy. When the kitty comes home, the family decides to allow the shark to stay as well, and they become great friends, the shark and the kitty, and great detectives. It's a wonderful, fun story. Shark Detective by Jessica Olian. Next on the list is Pete the Cat and the Bad Banana by James Dean. This is an I Can Read book designed for early readers, and it's reading level 1. It's a great book for young children learning how to read. It's a storybook about Pete the cat, and he has a bad banana. He loves bananas, but that one bad banana really sort of turned his taste against bananas. So he tries a bunch of other things to replace bananas: pickles, oranges, lemons, all kinds of things. He gets so full, but none of them really do the job. And then when it comes down to the day for the big race, he decides that really the banana is what he wants. And his friend gives him a banana. And because Greg, his friend, gives him his banana, Pete has a lot of energy and he wins the race. So he still likes bananas. Pete the Cat and the Bad Banana by James Dean. An I Can Read book. Next on the list is Harry the Hider by Carole Nicklaus. I remember this book from when I was a child. This is a snuggle and read storybook. Harry the Hider. This is a little girl named Miranda has a pet cat and a little sister named Rose, and the community is doing a circus with their pets. And Miranda, first of all, she can't find her cat Harry because he hides. And second, she can't decide or figure out what Harry could do to participate in the circus. It seems like day after day, but hour after hour, she looks for Harry and she can't find him, and she's trying to come up with ideas. And then comes the day of the circus. Rose and Miranda watch all of the other children and their circus shows perform, and Harry's nowhere to be found. But lo and behold, at the end of the day, at the end of the circus contest, Miranda and Harry are awarded first prize. Unbeknownst to Miranda, Harry was hiding in his performance stance of the prize. So Harry took Miranda by surprise, and she ended up being very happy that her cat was able to participate in the little circus show that the local kids put on together. This is a good book for children who are just learning to read. A nice little storybook. Harry the Hider by Carle Nicklaus. And next and last for book overview 35, we have this book, Four on the Shore by Edward Marshall with pictures by James Marshall. This is a book about a few little kids who are spending time together, and one of them has a little brother who always seems to be in the way. That annoying little brother. So they decide that maybe it'll be more quiet down at the lake if they go later and closer to dusk. And in hopes, they think that the little brother won't tag along. He tags along anyway. So they try to devise some kind of plan to get rid of the little brother, to have him want to go home. They decide to tell scary stories, and the little brother isn't scared of any of them. So the first one is Lolly's story, and then there's Sam's story, and then Spider tells a story. None of them scare little brother Willie. So, after Spider tells his story, little Willie decides to tell his own scary story. Oh, and he gets the bigger kids good. He scares them all. He tells a story of a scary vampire. And he makes all the older kids want to go home because they're scared. It's a fun storybook, and this is a Puffin book, a Puffin easy to read. It is level 3, Four on the Shore by Edward Marshall with pictures by James Marshall. This is a great book to have at your lake house. And it's also a good storybook for kids at reading level 3. Four on the Shore by Edward Marshall with pictures by James Marshall. Harry the Hider by Carle Nicklaus. Pete the Cat and the Bad Banana by James Dean. Shark Detective by Jessica Olian. How to Catch a Mermaid by Adam Wallace and Andy Elkerton. Lottie's New Beach Towel by Petra Mathers. The Sandcastle Contest by Robert Munsch with illustrations by Michael Martchenko. Then we had The Grouchy Ladybug by Eric Carle. And we had The Gas We Pass, The Story of Farts by Shinta Cho. And those are the books for the book overview number 35. Thank you for coming to Starbright Storytime.